Well, hello everyone. It's Miss Darling in the studio. If you're new here, I welcome you. I am Miss Darling, which is a nickname given to me by my daughter Swoop, who is a YouTube commentator and filmmaker. And so she just decided to call me Miss Darling one day, and the name stuck. So I thought, well, it's as good a name as any to have for my channel, so that's how we came to be. So I do collage, art journals, collage journals, junk journals, decoupage, and assorted thing. Anything with paper and fabric and using them together or not is right down my alley and something I love to do. So hope you stick around and find the content valuable to you. And if so, give the video a like and subscribe and come back and see me again. I've had some requests to show how I do jelly plate, and I can't show you on the big plates that I have because I can't move my filming camera, and so I thought, well, I could show you on a small plate. So I have a 5x7 here, and I have a bunch of sheets. I'll show you what I've already done last night, and then we'll do some together. Anyway, these are half sheets. It's just plain newsprint and not expensive, and it has kind of a beige color to it, which I think is great because I'd rather have a slight color to parts that maybe don't get printed rather than a stark white. Although stark white, anything works. Whatever pleases you. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first show you real quick some of the pulls that I did last night. Some are one pull backgrounds, and then some are two pulls, but generally not more than two, to get something that's nice and usable for your journals and not too overly busy. So here's a light background, and what I did is when I'm making the backgrounds, I do a bunch in a pastel color, usually beige, or some browns, or some gray, just something basic, light, and then also dark backgrounds. So on the dark backgrounds, you'll then maybe come back with a second pull where you put your design on, your motif, whatever it is. And you would do that on the light backgrounds, and on the dark backgrounds, you would probably use white. And on the light backgrounds, I tend to use black. So I'll show you, we'll have a bunch of both categories, and so we can flip back and forth between light and dark. So now here's one, this was, I think this was two pulls. Too busy to do anything else with unless I just want to cover the whole thing up and start again. Here's the kind of the same thing, a little less busy. Here's some of the same idea in white, and this actually, I did the white just by dripping the white paint onto the jelly plate and then putting the paper over. And so that's, a method. This was a two pull. And so here you see the first pull was this beigey with a little bit of copper background, and then the second one was the animal print. Here we have the same thing with actually this was three pulls. I did a black background, and then I tried numbers in a gold, and it did not give me the contrast was what I was looking for. So I came back and did a very bad job of putting some white numbers on top of that. And this is the type of thing that I probably wouldn't use a large bit of it, but, I might rip off a section of something like this to stick in a collage somewhere. So And then here we had a light background with black overprint, a purple blue background with black overprint, a light beige greenish background with black overprint. Okay, so you can see you can get all kinds of effects depending on the colors that you use for your background, and then, you know, the design element that you decide to lay in on top. You don't have to have a design on everything. This is just the group that I did that have the designs. And just, you know, I thought that was really beautiful. This I wasn't happy with, but I think if I try to come back and put something else on top, it's going to just look way too busy. But, you know, there are sections of this that turned out, you know, fairly nice that, you know, could be torn out and used in a collage. Same thing here. There's one in here where I got the numbers of the letters and, well, the numbers upside down, and so they printed backwards. But you can see the wide variety, and this was done with just a few stencils. Yeah, here it is. The numbers are backwards. Some messy writing, and pretty soon here. Now, here, these, from this point on, these are the pages which I rolled my roller over to get rid of excess paint. And so if you do that a number of times with different colors, you can create, you know, just a random really nice pattern or design or background that you might want to use in a collage, or come back in now and print some pattern over that. So I'm going to leave them as is because I've got a lot of pattern stuff and I don't have anything that's just kind of plain but beautiful. And so you can see that, you know, it's just random. I'm not paying any attention to what I'm doing when I'm rolling things off from my brayer, but it's when I'm all done. I try to change the sheet when I think it's pretty full and I don't want to mess up what I've got. So, you know, here you can see this was, you know, several pushes of the, you know, to pull black paint off the jelly plate. It's kind of hard sometimes to get, you know, the exact amount of paint on your jelly plate. And if you have too much on, it's going to be very squishy. And you'll know you have too much paint if you put your paper down and it kind of moves around. Or if you get, I don't know if I have any here, if you get kind of like a squiggly mark in the paint itself when you pull your print, you'll know that you had too much paint. So, but we don't want to waste any of the paint, so unload the excess paint with your brayer onto another sheet, and then, you know, save those because they can be great to tear for collage. Now, these over here are ones that I'm going to, some of these were done with the brayer. But by themselves, they're not going to go anywhere. I don't think I would ever use this to tear up, to add into some of my artwork. So I put it over here and I'm going to print over it and see what I get. But these, for my purposes, are essentially done. So we'll get rid of those. Now, here are some of the backgrounds that I did last night. That these are just the first pull, and there's different colors. I put the colored ones over here, and you can see that some of them might not vary a lot because maybe I use the same paint on more than one, but there is some difference. Okay, you can see that there's some white in here, and then in this copper one, it's probably just the copper itself. You can mix colors on your plate before you pull your background. I suggest you don't use more than probably maximum 3 colors of paint. I think this was a 3, but most of the time I'll just use 2. Here's a black and white, another black and white. Here's some gold and white on, and there was probably some black already on the plate, and that's why it looks 3 colors. This is just something that didn't work, and now I'll need to go back and do something else with it. So we'll play around with some of these today. And I love this one. I'm thinking maybe I'm not going to do anything to that. I think I was just going to leave that one as is for other purposes. And then over here are some dark backgrounds. These are the ones that I probably will use white paint for my design and hopefully get a nice contrast. And then I'll use black paint on these for the design. So now, which color shall we start with? We can start with black, or we can start with white. What do you want? Let me know. I hear you. We are going to start with black. So I'm going to set these aside. And I have over here a stack of stencils. I'm going to be using different stencils than I did in last night's printing. And you know, so it's nice if you have a bunch of stencils that you can use, so you're not, you know, dependent on the same ones over and over again. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm a little cramped for space here, obviously. I've got my paints lined up here, and they go over here, which you cannot see. But I have a bunch of colored ones over here, and then my metallics are up here. And I keep a plastic, I keep this, it's plastic, because I like to sometimes just mark some lines in on the background. And so now I think I'm going to start with that, but I'm wondering, I think maybe I will, you know what, I really like this two-tone background. I think that I might, yeah, we're kind of straight going across there, so that's supposed to be at the top. I think rather than use this on the jelly plate, that I'm going to set this aside and use a hand dauber and go around and put this image. Now it's going to be the reverse, so I don't want to do that. So let me think this through. I may have to deal with that one later, because I don't want to ruin this, and I'm not that experienced in doing jelly plates to know for sure everything that I'm doing. A lot of it is just trial and error, and That'll be the way it is for you if you haven't done it before. So, okay. I think I'm going to start with this random. I like the randomness of patterns. I don't care for stencils usually that, like, for instance, this is just too rigid, I don't know. I don't like them as well, so I'm going to stick them up there out of the way. Here's one of the few floral stencils that I like. You can see I've used it before, but I'm going to try and stay away from anything representational. So here's a really random stencil that I love. Another one. I've got several here, just really cool stencils. Here's a text. We could use this. And then I've got a bunch of kind of, I don't know, I guess these are mostly I don't know how I can't think of my words today. You know, the circular designs. What are they called? I want to say mobile, and that's not it. But I think you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, those are on the bottom. Maybe we'll get to them and maybe not, because I like these so much more. So anyway, okay. So I'm going to pull my papers from over there and grab my stencils from here, and this will be somewhere. Okay, here's where I'm going to roll off my brayer, and then here are papers, to additional papers. So, okay. We are starting with a light background, so I'm going to put black ink on, and away we go. This one, this one's almost empty, but we're going to try and use it up. So you decide what color ink you want, paint you want to put on. If I accidentally call it ink, forgive me, it is paint. It's acrylic paint. I use several brands. And so this is a kind of a light cover. I think I'm going to add some more because I can see through to the bottom of the plate, so I know I don't have enough paint on there, so we'll just add a little more. And you go different directions. I like to finish off at a diagonal, but you don't have to do that. And then I'm going to roll off over here. So I'm going to start with this stencil, and I'm going to drop it right in there so it butts up with the end. And then I've got extra down here because these are 6 by 6 plates, but the jelly plate is 5 by 7, but the stencils are only 6 by 6. So, that one won't work. Well, I'm just going to leave it. So now I'm going to print over this, and so it's important to try to register it with the plate underneath as close as you can. You're not going to have a winner every time, but you know, obviously the more you do, the better you'll get at it. So here you can see that's what the stencil did, and here's the section here that I did not have a stencil on. So the white's gone, it's now just in the design, and that, you know, will make a good print to, you know, tear up and add to a collage. So now after you pull your first print, you want to pick up the stencil, and now there's a print that's been left there on the plate. So I'm going to grab one of these that was a brayer pull off, and I'm going to use it to pull off what's called a ghost print. So this is going to pull up the design that was left on the plate after I rubbed the other one. And so you can see, you know, it's not as pronounced because the ink has already been kind of pulled off one, but you can see the difference. This was the first pull, and here's the second ghost print. Not very happy with that. Might come back and just print some black ink over the whole thing, and we'll see. So you're going to have winners and losers, and don't worry about that because it happens to everybody. And it's the nature of using a jelly plate. And obviously, the more you work with it, the better at it you will get. And figure out, you know, if you're not happy, what is it that you're doing that you need to change or stop doing. Sometimes it's not enough paint, sometimes it's too much paint. So I can tell by looking at it, it's nice and shiny over the whole thing, so I know I have enough paint there. You don't have to roll it off if you don't want to, but I'm going to come back right quick and I'm going to take this that I don't like at all, and I'm just going to get rid of it totally if I can. I don't think I registered this quite perfectly, but see, now I got rid of it, and so now I like this better, and I'll use this as a background and come back in another time with another stencil design and lay in on top of that. But it's better than what I had, so all is not lost. So I did not make a good place for me to lay the real wet ones. Alright, so now I've got a pretty clean plate, but I'm going to continue using black I'm having trouble. You know, this is just almost empty, so I'll switch now to this other black. Some people, you know, put the paint, you know, dribble it on other places. That's fine. You know, do what works for you. Now, I can see already I've got too much paint here. You can even tell the brayer just wants to slide off. And there's just way too much there. So I'm going to pull some off. So that's better. All right, now let's try a different stencil. So I'm gonna drop that in there and maybe lay this at the bottom. This is trickier. Get that to stay on while you grab I think we'll try using this. So hopefully we're doing a good job registering it with the background. I don't think I showed you this background before I laid it down, but it's pretty much all copper. Now what I'm doing is, when you have your stencil down, you want to press pretty hard on your first print so that the design gets adhered to the jelly plate below. Okay, so there's our first pull. And so now take your stencils off. And you can see we have a design there. So I think we're going to try this. This was this white one that is kind of going nowhere. It's just too light to even be seen. So we'll see what we get. Again, this is a ghost print, so we're not going to, you know, be really wowed by what we wind up with. But it's better than before. And I could see myself tearing off various sections of this to use in an art project of some sort. So that's not bad, especially since it's a ghost print. And you can see here was the first pull over here, and then here's our ghost print over here. Now, we're relatively clean, but there's still a little bit of that design there. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put on more black paint. But this time I think I will obviously I got too much coming out of here. I think I need to just drop down 2 puddles of paint out of that particular one, or I'm going to I was going to add a second color, but I got too much there, so I'm going to, I think I'm going to just cover up one of these, this one. I'm going to just cover this up with all black, and that will use up all of this paint, and then I can come back and put a lesser amount. And I think I'll just be real random here with that, and I think I'll even, you know, run some marks in there. And then just gonna lay this down and see what happens. Okay, I got a really dark black. This will take a little while to dry. You know, if there wasn't that much ink on it, it would dry rather quickly. But I can see that I still have, I think I still have enough paint here that I can now just go ahead and use this. I did not roll my brayer off, so I still had paint on the brayer as well. Okay, so this time imagine that I have two of those. That's the second stencil I inadvertently bought. Okay, I've got some, these I think will look nice. So I'm going to drop this in here. That's going to be a lot of black paint that's going to pick up. And then I'm going to lay this in down here at the bottom. So this design is going to go on this copper background. I don't know if you can see this on the video, but you can see the design. This is a pretty open stencil. Ooh. I think this looks awesome. Wow, look at that. Very nice. Very happy with that. So that's my first pull, and then let's see what we can do with the ghost print. The designs that you get, you're going to be pretty dependent upon, you know, what kind of stencils you have in your supplies. Well, that was a fail. Okay, so we'll do something else with this a little later. Meanwhile, I have a few more pastels. There's some black and white. Let's kind of pull these to the top. I'll do a few more with the black. and then we'll move to white. Now this is the bottle that a ton comes out, so I'm only going to go for 2. Learn the hard way. I may I think I'm going to drop in a little bit of brown to the mix. Dark chocolate. Deco Arts dark chocolate. Again, there's a little bit too much there. Okay, so I want to use that stencil again. I really liked how that came out, so we'll do kind of something similar. It's just going to be a different color. So here's pretty much a white background. Press in fairly hard on your first pull. You know, think of it as you're embossing the plate, at the same time you're getting a nice contrast. Okay, I love that stencil. It's very nice. Okay, so now I can see we don't have much there, so I'm going to, let's just try, you know, maybe putting some gold over this. Again, we have too much paint, so let's roll some out over this sheet we got here. And I don't know if you can see it, but even though we've got the gold on top of the print that was left, you can still see it through there. So let's take a white. I don't know if we'll pull up any of the design or not, but we certainly will get some gold on top of our white background. Whoa. Now that's nice. Very subtle and understated, but I could see myself easily using that in my work. And here's what we're left with. So let's try some different colors now, since we're kind of headed away. This is quinacridone nickel azo gold. It kind of acts like a transparent paint. But let's just see what we get. It's a beautiful color. I'm going to change sheets now. Alright, now let's try this one. We've used it as a kind of a mop-up design, but now let's go full throttle with that. And then we can use just a little bit of this at the bottom. Okay, that's what I'm using. Always keep one hand on your paper to hold it in place so it doesn't slip, or you'll have something you won't like. Oh, that's interesting. Now that's the opposite. That's the other other design. It's pretty cool. There's some of that there. I just don't know. For that to show up, I would really need a light background. Oh, it might show up on that. Let's be adventuresome and try it. It could be a complete bust and we get practically nothing. But very subtle. Here was the first pull. See what a dramatic difference it makes depending on color and, you know, what your background is, and then the color of your paint and whether it shows up. I don't know, it's nice up here. You know, maybe I need to do a little bit of something else down here at some point. I'll put it over here for now. So we still have some of that left here, and I think I'm going to be a little bit daring now. Here's quinacridone magenta. Haven't used this yet, so let's see what we get. These are golden paints, and I can see they're quite a bit more fluid than the other brand, which means instead of putting 3 drops on, I'm only going to do 2 with them. Even then, there's still quite a bit of paint there. Okay. Ooh, pretty color, very pretty. So, okay, let's try a different stencil. This looks pretty interesting. I'm going to lay it down so that the odd shapes go off. I wish these stencils were, you know, like 8x8, where you could just lay it down and have it cover the whole plate. But no such luck. I'll put some of this script down here at the bottom. I'm going to lay that on top of this. Might look awful, and it might look fantastic. Wow, it looks rather awful. I didn't get anything down here. Let's try that again. Nope, nothing. Don't know why. The substrate on these is a little thicker than some of the others, and so that may be why. Alright, we got quite a bit left here. What shall we do? This is the only one I have left that might look good color-wise. Wow, now this is a nice surprise. Look at that. This is my ghost print, and this is my failed first print. So, will surprises never cease? So, this I have to do something else with, but this one is done. Beautiful colors. Just love it. So I think you get the idea, and I don't want to go on too long just doing the same thing over and over for you. So, you know, if you are interested, get yourself a jelly plate. I would try to put some links in the description box for you of some of the supplies I'm using in this video. If I fail to and there's something that you want to know, just leave me a comment or send me a private message to let me know, and I will get that info for you. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I appreciate you sticking with me this far if you're still here, and thanks so much. And I've enjoyed doing this with you, and hope I haven't been too repetitive and doing nonsense. So that's Miss Darling calling this a wrap. Bye-bye.